right. Good to meet you all. Welcome to ZUNI Learning Tree. I'd like to go through a PowerPoint presentation to show you a little bit about what the company is doing in this space in particular, and I appreciate everyone being there. I'm going to share my screen, entire screen. Great. And now I'm going to pull up what should be, okay, yeah, that was a lot of pictures. So we're just going to, hopefully we're just going to see this PowerPoint and go ahead and maximize it. Okay. There we go. Give it just a moment and we're going to pull it up and we'll be able to close this out. I want to make sure all my resources are closed out before I start. You all can see where I am, right? Okay. Now, somehow that did not go the way that I wanted to, so we will restart again. Close this. My slides are up. Let's go back to where you all are. Okay, and I'm going to try this again. Now, since the PowerPoint is up, perhaps I can share just that. That might make it a little easier because I think my system was going, there it is. Okay, cool. So I'm going to share this. You all will have a chance to see it. There we are. And welcome to ZUNI Learning Tree. That's a picture of me, about 15 pounds lighter, but still pretty cool. Still pretty cool. My name is John Reed. That's the number you can reach me. And I've been working with ZUNI Learning Tree, introducing this resource to teachers all across the Southeast. So it is great to have you here in our session. And I want to make sure this time is worthwhile. So if you don't mind, can you share a little bit about who you are and who do we have out there? Do we have some teachers? Any grade level chairs? We've got some reading specialists. Okay, cool. Any administrators? We got an AP. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Well, since you all are really, really in touch with the teachers that are in your school, I'd like you to look at a couple of things and think about this picture. Actually, as you look at it, doesn't look familiar. That's a look of frustration. That's a look that says there's a whole lot going on. And you may want to think about, raise your hand if you've really struggled with research, all over the place and figuring out how to use technology. Does this picture look familiar? You know some folks like that. Does this picture look like somebody you know who's really struggled with finding quality resources, that will work with the lesson plans because you've been tweaking them all night, something that other teachers have used, but finding those can be critical. You know somebody who looks like that Monday mornings, or should I say Sunday nights, in preparation? You may even know some folks, if you think about it, to think about that one kid, nobody wants them in their class, and you really, really need some PBIS strategies to really work with that behavior and begin to develop some modification. Or maybe you're that administrator and you're trying to figure out how can we get the professional development to a place where all of my teachers are really as close to that really strong teacher using the technology, creating those engaging situations, but creating that place or that opportunity, there's just not enough time. If this is you, raise your hand virtually. And some folks like that. So when teachers are creating lessons, when they're looking for materials online, when they're looking for PD, what are some of the challenges that you face? What do you see? I know that some of you have difficulty with folks who don't really have the time to learn what they need. Some of you have difficulty with internet access, not so much in the school, but really finding from the world of materials out there, what is it that's going to fit into your culture? What's going to fit into what your needs are? And all of this is on your shoulders as a teacher. So what are you able to do with the ability to differentiate, the responsibility to differentiate, and to have an organization behind the stuff that you create, and having that creativity to find these things and fit them into your class needs? How are you meeting some of those challenges now? What are you doing? So I know some of you in your PLC meetings, you try to get one teacher to present an idea that works well. Some of you have a chance to you participate offline, away from the classroom, and pulling together resources. All of you do these little things, but all of these things are time consuming. So let me ask you this question. Then if you had the ability to find in one place, in one space, a way for you to meet all of those challenges, what would that mean for your teachers? How would that affect their lives? Okay, I hear you. Some of you are saying, yes, we've got to get that time back. Some of you are saying, okay, the quality of what I actually get a chance to do in the classroom would be really a lot better if I had enough opportunity and time to fit it all together and think about it and process. That process time is critical. So we've heard your challenges. We've mentioned a few here, and all of those challenges are important too. They're significant, and we know they can be frustrating. We believe that you're in a tough place with that. But here at ZUNI Learning Tree is what else we believe. Number one, we believe that you deserve the freedom to create the tools that you need. It shouldn't be an onerous process. So we think that's a part of what 21st century learning is about, and the space you are with what your kids are. We believe that. We also believe that we believe in the freedom to explore, to share, and to grow. There should be some learning, some personal growth from what you're able to find and learn without taking up all of your time. In fact, many of you mentioned the resources, the time that you've got to spend offline, the time you've got to spend collaborating with other teachers. Really having that process time is something that just doesn't exist for you, but we believe that you should have that. You should have the freedom to do that. More importantly, we believe that you deserve the freedom to have that work-life balance. We realize that you and your colleagues deal with a lot of shifting priorities and concerns and pressures from multiple sides. And like I said earlier, your job, you're in the middle there. You got to make it all work. And so what did we do? Since that's what we believe, we developed a solution just for you. That solution is called ZUNI Learning Tree. It was developed by teachers for teachers. And it's really important that you see that as something that's going to be necessary and helpful for you. See, a few years ago, we actually began putting together a team to look at what would have the biggest impact on teachers, administrators, and parents. We're not leaving them out. We were determined to make a difference in the lives of everyone who needed to use the resources out there just to impact learning. So let's think about, where did all of this come from? Just listen for a moment. There were 3 teachers. Consider the experiences of these 3 teachers. Tracy is a second-year teacher. Carla's a first-year teacher. And Samantha's a 5-year veteran teacher in a new school. What do they have in common? Each of these educators was spending 6 to 10 hours every week looking online for resources for their classroom lessons, just like we've been talking about today. Does that sound familiar? In fact, I want you to think about it. On the average, how many hours on average do you spend sifting through online resources and materials for lesson plans for your week? How many videos are you viewing? How many how many hours is that taking up? I just want to take a quick poll. Okay. So you got 60. Okay. Some of you, wow, more than 10. All of these hours. And it sounds like your teachers and the teachers that we shared about are spending hours, they're searching, they're checking, deciding, and searching some more for just the right tools, especially for the different learning needs for your students. But there's a little structure there in the multiple websites and videos and online resource databases. And making sure that they're from a credible source, that's a lot of frustration. You ask questions like, well, how will this work with my kids? Are the resources really reliable? Do they really meet the standards? Sounds like a recipe for frustration, actually. You may know some teachers just like them. But when we think about that time frame, I'll bet you never realized that those hours, that 6 to 10 hours, averages out to about 400 hours a year, depending on your hourly rate, that really represents $10,000 per year. That is literally wasted. That's $10,000 of your valuable time you're not getting paid for, but the effort is to get your students the resources that they deserve. And think about that. Think about the areas that we've talked about that you've invested so much time and so much energy. So if you had one place to go that you could get all of that taken care of, how would that make you feel? Would that make a difference in your life? Because, as I said, searching for the solution is overwhelming. It's time consuming, yes, definitely. But would it make a difference in your life? Well, what those three teachers that I mentioned, Tracy, Carla, and Samantha, one by one, they found and discovered ZUNI Learning Tree. Think about how relieved they were to know that their frustrations were actually heard. One place, one space. And in fact, I want you to hear specifically what their responses were. Tracy, she's a second grade teacher. She was spending over 10 hours a week looking for resources. But her statement, hey, ZUNI cut my planning time by less than half over what I was doing. She found resources like great tools like Class Dojo, and when Class Dojo first came out, it turned her class, her squirrely class around. She was really able to teach. And just knowing that she had those great tools at her fingertips made a huge difference. What about Carla? Carla was that first year teacher, and she was just spending nights and weekends just trying to get on board, understanding the culture of what was in her school and what was needed. She wasn't really even sure she could stay in the field. Her response, now I have my life. And lastly, the fifth year teacher, well, let me let you hear her in your own words. I think you can all see this. Maybe pull it down the screen a little bit. It'll take
My
this.
name is Tracy Ashford. I'm in the Washington School District, the elementary school. I'm a second grade teacher. I've been teaching for 5 years, and this year has been really hard. It's hard on teachers every year with kids or parents, and so there was an opportunity for me to do something else next year instead of coming back to teach. Really learning makes me really excited about coming back to teach. Not only are we getting more parents involved and making things more accessible to them, but we're also doing it for the teachers who put in those extra hours, who have their own families, who have other things to do. This is going to be an incredible resource. I encourage everybody to check it out. Anyway.
Wow. Wonderful words, Samantha. And that makes all the difference in the world. That when teachers have something that they can rely on that gives them that sense of release, that sense of relief. So literally our mission We believe that teachers work hard, so we work hard for teachers as well. In fact, at ZUNI Learning Tree, our mission is really to empower educators and students, families, and communities through education. We do this by restoring order to the exploding number of resources existing in the virtual universe of open source educational tools. There's a lot out there, but wherever rich content, learning tools, and online help lives, we help you find it and bring it to you to make your world easier. We empower you to dream, inspire, learn, grow, and do. This is who we are. So are you ready? Let's go ahead and jump into ZUNI Learning Tree. Now, when I click here, I'm going to launch into the site, and hopefully, hey, that's what we look like. This is what you'll see for now. Notice the kids in ZUNI Learning Tree. See that we have access to all of the resources that are available to us, both as teachers, as administrators. Parents will be able to find what they need to help their students. Districts will be able to identify some of the resources that are used and really focus on professional development in a way that makes sense. So all of these are important, but it's really important that the interface that we use, and as we log in as a teacher, you'll see that everything is right there in front of you. In fact, you're able to not only see what the teacher sees, but if we think about what are the things that are going on in my class that are really important. For instance, this calendar tells us we're able to mark if there are specialized days, if there are thematic units that are being covered, and my PLC meeting dates. Anything going on in the school I can capture in this calendar, and this page is personalized. I can also see updates on students who've completed assignments. They may have questions. Over here on the left, there's a whole range of resources that allow me to identify materials, to bookmark resources that I need, to create lessons. I can even create courses within those items that I find. That's combinations of workbooks and worksheets and games and online videos. I can pull them into to create the experience that I'd like students to do. And I can pull this up on my screen or on my smart board. So it gives me a way of not only understanding where my students are, but at a flash, I can see everything that's necessary for me to start that day. Also, as it relates to recent tests that I may have given, I can see how the students are doing on percentages. It can put me in the frame of mind of what I need to do. So access to my district webpage, access to digital lesson planner, the schedule of lessons, any of those latest test results, and I can move material or whatever my interest is, the things that are most important to me. It may be the PBIS strategies. There may be a way that I'm working through assessments. Any of those things can be focused, can be brought here easily onto this page so that I can see it right up front. Pretty cool. And you may ask, well, with all of the updates and everything, am I able to see anything that the students are doing? Well, certainly. So the lesson that you created, this page, what we've done is actually given you a snapshot. Here's a lesson. This is actually a math lesson. And this one is from 5th grade, place value in decimals. So I'm able to see certain resources that have been assigned to the students that I know they're going to be able to working with. I can see everything that along the lesson pathway that was created for the students, and any resources specific to the subtraction, multiplication, anything that will be beneficial to the students in the classroom, I've actually pulled in on this page so I can see what's going on. When we think about personalized learning and how I have to differentiate for all of the learning styles within my students that are there, I know at a glance now what resources are right at my fingertips because I've already pulled these in. I've already organized them in a way that I can get students started, direct them both from my computer or from the smartboard in front of the classroom, or if I'm carrying my tablet around, and as I can connect with each student at that place of their need, I know that I've got the resource here and I'm not scrambling back and forth. So it's a great, great way of keeping everything organized and available. So how I use ZUNI is to go in and actually create the lesson with the complexity and the diversity of resources that I need. So there's so many resources out there. There's Teach New York. There are Khan Academy. There are multiple lessons that may be helpful for students. I can pull them in and make them a part of the offerings that I'm giving to my students. And I can see what that looks like. My students' dashboard, you'll see, is very similar in that they'll see exactly what I've assigned. They can see a summary of their test responses. They know the assignments and where they are on those assignments, and literally, immediately they can sit down and get started using their personal device. So this is excellent if you're in a one-to-one, or if you have students working in small group. This gives you a lot of explicit instruction for them to get started and to get working quickly so we can keep them engaged. So we know that ZUNI really is a part of the answer that makes sense for so many educators, even those administrators. Miss Karen Richardson, who's instructional technology, best tool she's seen in 45 years. Ms. Coleman, director of elementary curriculum. Districts spend a lot of money on resources, but this is one tool that pulls everything together. And if you've not been on the website, you can see Ms. Danya Melak, who's a second grade national certified teacher. She loves Zoom, again, for the time that it saves. So as we think about bringing this in and getting this to a place where you can put it in your hands, where you can share it with other teachers who want the flexibility to do this, there's multiple sources of funding. We have just a few that are mentioned here. There's Title I dollars that are available, maybe special ed funding. You may have RTI funds left over from a federal grant, Race to the Top funds available, U.S. Department of Education discretionary funding, discretionary grants are available as well, depending on where your school district is. But what we'll do is we'll sit down and meet with you and look at what are those solutions so that we can make sure that we can get this into the right hands. So we've looked for ways of making things easier. We realize that you're faced with requirements for your classroom. You're looking at a time crunch for the time that you're spending outside of the classroom, that tremendous strain of looking for and finding and identifying things that are really critical, things for you to use for your personal growth, those things for your students to really enjoy, to dealing with where you're addressing their different learning styles. But then you've got to have that time back for you to enjoy with your family. And we know that's incredibly important. And all of this builds into your own strength as a teacher, as an educator, strengthening your teaching practice, allowing you to collaborate much more effectively, and using the technology in a way that makes sense. This learning, so with all of that focused on you, we know that the best way for you to find out for yourself how you can pull all of that together is with ZUNI Learning Tree. One place, one space, you can have it all. What I'd like to do at this point, since I've introduced myself to you, we've talked about everything that we have in place. I really want to know from you, who wants to grow with ZUNI Learning Tree? Are you ready to jump in and play? If you are, let's go to the website right now. Let's get you signed up. If you haven't had that 14-day trial, we want you to take advantage of that 14-day trial, and there's some tasks associated with that. So let's go ahead and create some lessons. Let's bookmark some sites that you know are going to be specific to your needs. let's create an experience for your students that's really going to be transforming not only your life outside of the classroom, because your preparation is going to be made that much better because of ZUNI Learning Tree. I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share this with you, and I look forward to all of you having the opportunity to discover what ZUNI Learning Tree can do for you and bringing it back to a place where not only you find yourself, but you get your life back. That's the most important thing. Thanks so much. Look forward to talking with you soon.